Okay. Are we now also getting my microphone? And welcome to another Peter's the Wolf cast. We're going to get a little political here this time around. Oh, like we don't always. As usual, I'm Bar1 Scorpio. B-A-R, the number one, S-E-O-R-P-I-O. And aka Ben Rodriguez, the artist on the webcomic Peter is the Wolf at petersthewolf.com. As typical, any opinions expressed by me are strictly my own and do not reflect upon Chris Overstreet of White Lightning Productions at WLPcomics.com or any other, I guess, a beta of Palladium Books or any other potential freelance employer that decides to hire me for my arts and stuff. This is just strictly me shooting my mouth off. And tonight we've got a little interesting thing. I'm going to be working on a page 202, getting this stupid thing out of the way finally, hopefully. And more importantly, analyzing what the hell this guy Sequester Zone, this male feminist ally, has been going through. Apparently he made this hour-long video discussing his personal trials and tribulations in some very personal matters. Apparently some of the goofy e-drama that always seems to be cropping up. And usually I stick out this stuff, but it illustrates so much of what I've said and illustrates what happened to this guy and what's going on. And this is actually his video, I'm Done with Feminist, really points to exactly a lot of the problems that are going on with feminism in general. So I thought you guys might like to, if this will pick up his YouTube, we'll be able to, you'll hear.
Alright, here I am on this stupid channel making this video. I feel my hand is forced to making this video, as I always do. But when I said this community was beyond redemption, I wasn't just talking about the atheist community. I wasn't just talking about YouTube's like right wing, their MRAs and things like that. I was talking about the liberals and the feminists as well. And if you're one of the people who thinks I might not be talking about you, then you're in danger of at least becoming like these people. Because none of them think that they're like this. And I've gone through a period of having myself become attacked by people who I've been very close to the whole time on YouTube. Firstly, for defending Bewildered Ape, which is a weird thing. I defend Bewildered Ape on the grounds that his work is art. And I can defend it on that grounds. People who don't get it, which are mostly like the MRA types and your right-wing atheist types, who don't get what we will.
Right-wing atheists, because, that's a thing. Now, here's the thing. Bewildered Ape is one of those talking heads. There's a lot of, e-drama between varying talking heads online. Bewildered Ape is this guy who's, guy or gal. It's a digitalized voice and a animated monkey face. Basically talk shit about men's rights activists, anti-feminists, and I guess other feminists who don't toe the line exactly, which seems to be what a lot of this is going around about. You might notice that he says that the people he's going to be against right at the beginning are going to be the MRAs and stuff, because they're of course men who believe that we should stop mutilating babies. There was a very public case down in Florida this just recently. I know I have some friends in that. There's some very disturbing things going on with that whole thing. But yeah, he's coming on as a general feminist. He's coming in from the perspective that these are awful people, these are bad people. They got to be shoved aside, and the thing is, and they have to be treated like crap. Really, I mean, that's what the person he was just referring to kind of does. Just talk smack about MRAs. Doesn't really argue. Points back and forth, which is a lot of things that one of the more notable things that happens right now in online feminism is it's just a lot of screaming, bullet points, and not a lot of thinking.
What Ape is doing, I think they're funny because they don't get it. Now, people on the liberal SJW feminist side,
which would be his side,
they get what Bewildered Ape is doing, but they object because his videos might hurt their messaging or hurt people's feelings.
Because
and like I think both of those are just dumb reasons. Manner,
they're afraid because they might look like assholes too.
I don't have problems criticizing. If people who hate Bewildered Ape want to make videos about what an asshole he is, I'm fine with it. Criticize.
Oddly enough, that doesn't happen that often in the MRA videos I've seen in regards to Bewildered Ape. Until basically everybody just decided, okay, this guy is, or this person is pathetic and disingenuous from Jump Street, so we'll just ignore Bewildered Ape, which is, I think nobody's doing reaction videos to him anymore, except for maybe, I don't know, feminists, which these YouTube feminists who I'm by and large not even bothering with. Except now there's this whole bizarre thing, which Spinosaurus's channel kind of drew me into, has me observing this, just watching the community eat one of its own again, which is what they do.
Him on the grounds of what he's doing, which is satire. Don't say he makes you look bad and that's why you're criticizing it.
Oh, here's another thing. Bewildered Ape doesn't actually do satire. You're going to notice this is a big problem among Sequester Zone's other videos of not actually understanding what a lot of things like, freaking humor are. Honestly, there's a huge problem. Okay, here's the number one problem with feminists and liberals and satire. You saw this in a recent Gary Trudeau article where he was talking about how there was, it's always the freedom of speech but argument, and he was doing this in regards to Islam and what the fuck happened in Texas, and after ignoring what the hell happened he was talking about Charlie Hebdo. He was actually coming down on Charlie Hebdo, and then of course there was a shooting in Copenhagen later, but Gary Trudeau talks about, satire is supposed to punch up, not punch down, which is really not at all what satire does. Satire is the way of exaggerating, making fun of people in general. It doesn't matter. You can use satire to make fun of the poor as well as the rich, the downtrodden as well as the powerful, because you basically make fun of the foibles and failings of human behavior. And the thing is, the disenfranchised or whatever, who you're not supposed to punch down, when you hear them punching, when they say satire's supposed to punch up, not punch down, well, that's them being disingenuous, because yes, it's supposed to, and yes, it can. It's not about who has power. It's the court jester mocks everyone who's screwing up in general. You mock behavior, and when those outside up, there's no safe targets. There's no safe non-targets. There's nobody is safe in the world of satire. But what many of the people like online feminists don't understand is satire is supposed to be also, number one, it's supposed to speak to some truth. That's part of what makes it funny. The social criticism, it's A, supposed to be social criticism, B, supposed to be funny, and D, if you're going to use humor to criticize people's failings, then the failings have to be real and not just a shitload of projection, which is what's kind of going on right now.
because it's completely disingenuous to and strawmanish to criticize him on any other grounds. Now, in addition to that, I found out someone else on YouTube who used to have a channel which
straw
said
manning
that my
like an
channel
online
was the direct
feminist.
inspiration for their channel, is also trolling me, sending my philosophy papers to Bad Philosophy on Reddit, and making troll accounts to bug me on Twitter, which I'm much wittier than this person, so that was a rather fun experience because my tweets back at the troll account were funnier than the tweets they were tweeting at me.
Of course, everybody's funny in their own mind. To say that I'm much funnier than this guy, unless you have a third party standing offside and saying, claiming the victor, God, that's just going to be, that argument is going to go nowhere, SK or SZ. What I should also notice is that I've only seen a couple of videos of his, and those were including this one, and there's reactions to his stuff, and he's never been actually funny or witty. He just does talking points. He got torn apart in a video by a guy, by the avatar of Skull in a jug of Kool-Aid. That's who this guy can kind of fail against.
So that was happening, but also, oh yes, I am a sexual predator and abuser of women.
That's always nice to admit.
So before we get into that, I'm going to have to do a disclaimer here. The title of this video...
Oh my gosh. Trigger warning?
...says I'm done with feminists. Not done with feminism. Because online feminists are a bunch of moron crybabies, for the most part.
So he's not done with the core philosophy of feminism. He still supports the philosophy that turned these people into moronic crybabies on YouTube. He's just not going to support the actual moronic crybabies. Okay, I can see how that's not going to work out either. But please do continue.
And I'm just done with them in general. This is not to say that future things I do on my other channels will not be supportive of feminism, and that doesn't mean that I hate all YouTube feminists, because there's some of them I think are still okay.
He's just, he's not going to quit hanging out with Scientologists if they'll still allow him to hang out with them. He just doesn't want to support the Church of Scientology itself. Man, that cult is hard to leave, isn't it?
But, they treat men like useful idiots, basically.
It is nice to have that moment of clarity. Now if you can extrapolate to the feminists off of YouTube, you'll really be getting somewhere, buddy. In fact, among the Facebook conservative crowd, we've had to use the phrase useful idiot so often in regards to male feminists and SJWs of all types. We just shorten it down to UI.
Yeah. They're okay until they step out of line, and then they just attack and destroy them.
Funny, I've known this is the way the game is played ever since I was 14 and started listening to Rush Limbaugh. I mean, seriously, the liberals have a classic habit of attacking and assaulting anyone who goeth off the plantation of their ideology. Look at the recent Mark Ruffalo speech, where he basically harangues women who don't want to be regarded as feminists. And of course, you have a bunch of mangina saying, "Oh, Mark Ruffalo gets it." No, Mark Ruffalo is a fucking overseer trying to shame women back onto the plantation, because nobody wants to risk that women, who are the majority voter bloc in the United States, might turn against the Democratic Party that has promised so much and delivered so little.
And what they do is they take men who used to consider allies and try to paint them as misogynists. And
Oh, this actually plays into something that I refer to as I'm beginning to try and come up with a decent law here, and I think I have a Bar One's law of internet feminists. When women, when online feminists make wild complaints about stereotypical male behavior, and it doesn't smack of any truth that you might find yourself personally. Remember, these women are talking from their personal experiences, and they're specifically talking about their personal experiences with their quote unquote male allies.
That's one of the things that's happening here. It's actually happened to me a bunch of times on YouTube, but this is the first time it's happening by somebody very close to me.
That should be your first warning. This happens all the time. So the disclaimer,
I'm not anti-feminist. I'm not MRA now. And the second disclaimer is,
no, he will
despite what I say in this
leave
video, do not
that once you drink
strawman
the
or
Kool-Aid.
misunderstand this video as being, I think that women shouldn't be believed when they say they're raped or abused or any of that stuff.
Well,
they
evidence
should be treated like
believed
a victim, not
if
as
it's conclusive.
Somebody to be interrogated while it's being investigated.
See,
they should be treated as if they believe what has happened to them really happened. That's how they should always be treated. However, believing that the person that they accuse is automatically guilty is a different matter. It's a different thing.
No, it's not, actually. If you're saying that your default position to be listen and believe the testimony without viewing any of the evidence that may rest to the contrary, then you're automatically starting from the position of an assumption of guilt as opposed to the presumption of innocence. This is a major point of contention among anti-feminists and feminists. Like he says, you're supposed to be believing the woman as the default position. Well, he's been caught up in the net of this, and he's still refusing to, step to reality or see that this is a flawed way of viewing the world. I think what I've been trying to raise here is a thing on my screen. Yeah, it was.
Than that. You can believe that the person believes they have been abused or sexually assaulted or any of those things, while at the same time giving the benefit of the doubt to the accused, despite what Gary...
Well, okay, if you only believe that the person believes, then that would rest as opposed to the person actually being innocent or guilty, would mean that the person, the accuser, may be delusional. Criminy. Part of the core problem with dealing with feminists and feminism in general is that the majority of your feminists seem to be bipolar or borderline personality disorders, coupled with histrionic outbursts and any other number of sociopathic tendencies, including especially a lot of narcissism.
Edwards says. So I've made that disclaimer. There will be no comments to strawman it. So.
Okay, yeah. You should notice the reason why I'm doing this much is because one of the first things he did was upload this without likes or dislikes and without commentary. Going without shutting down commentary is a go-to feminist tactic. Anita Sarkeesian from Jump Street was famous for this, and one of the major criticisms is, as much as she insists that she wants to bring a debate to video gaming, she doesn't actually debate anything at all.
People might still try. I don't know. So I'm going to give some back.
Well, I'm giving it the old college try, aren't I? Here I am trying to play this into a live stream and then record my commentary as we roll along, seeing if that'll actually make something interesting that I could upload then to YouTube. Boop, boop, unscripted.
Background on this accusation that has been made against me. And this accusation, first of all, that I was sexually predatory toward somebody on YouTube. And somebody has told me that they have said I've been sexually predatory toward women on YouTube multiple times.
Dun dun dun.
So if many of these women step forward, then I'll have to cancel my plans to run for the Republican nomination in 2016.
Oh, I got it. That was supposed to be him being witty. Once again, assuming that there is a Republican war on women, even though there has been zero evidence of this. Oh, certainly if you consider asking people to be responsible for their own lives and their own actions, definitely. Oh, that's war. Definitely. That's shots fired. Meanwhile, God damn it. This guy is a silly one. You might notice that he's been accused. Apparently the rumor is that he's been accused of sexual harassment multiple times of this, and yet he's trying to defend himself. Something that he kind of just said, implied by his, you should be believing women and whatnot, that he shouldn't even be attempting to do. He should be accepting this and just waiting for the witch hunt to move on. I talk about how listening to Thomas F. Madden's Heaven or Heresy, the lecture series Heaven or Heresy, the history of the medieval Inquisition, taught me a lot about feminism, oddly enough, because this guy is in the middle of one of the many, many feminist inquisitions. He is not even allowed to, and here he's actually made and you might have noticed a bit earlier that he made the gaffe, the error of daring to ask to have his accusers named. Don't you know that you're not allowed to name yours? Your accusers are not supposed to have to come forward. You're not be able to defend yourself from them if you're being accused of this sort of thing, Sequester. That's not how it works especially not on a college campus.
If a bunch of them step forward. But until then,
Inquisition rules it is. We are back to the days of the autodafés in the Catholic Church. The Inquisition.
There's actually no evidence of this.
Let's begin the Inquisition.
And the one person they claim that I did do this to actually says no and has given me permission to make this video, and that is JJ from JJ Talks. I've been accused of basically
of heresy in thought, heresy in deed, heresy in action, and heresy by a night out with a navel orange.
When this happened was Memorial Day. There was a hangout for Progressive Alliance, and
sounds like that alliance stuck together pretty well.
At the Progressive Alliance hangout, most of the people who were from Progressive Alliance at the time left, and there was just JJ, myself, and one other person. Sexy. And so I invited Extremely Boring, Archduchess, and Sage Lion. Now, I told Extremely Boring I was making this video, and she basically called me an awful person.
Yeah, that those sound like wonderful channel names. All extremely boring. Okay.
And Archduchess I can't get in touch with because she's removed me from Facebook and blocked me on Twitter. Sage Lion.
Once again, hey, there's that shutting down debate. Of course, this guy could just be a harassing shitlord, one of those arch-Republican, arch-conservative MRA types in disguise. You know how easy it is for them to infiltrate the inner halls and sanctums of feminism. No feminist is safe. No woman is safe, especially from the guys who call themselves the male allies.
I said he wouldn't have nothing to do with this, while at the same time telling other people that I have been inappropriate with multiple women on YouTube. Allegedly. This comes to me from a third party, him saying that to them. So,
oh God! So wait, you mean all this is?
Take that what you will.
All this is based on Chinese whispers.
I spoke to both the Archduchess and
seriously,
Sage Lion.
It takes nothing to tear this community apart, does it?
Originally came from Extremely Boring, And I spoke to both Sage Lion and Archduchess about this, and they said that they did not find my behavior inappropriate in this hangout. Now, this hangout was not broadcast, so there's no film of it.
He broke the Allison Tiemann rule. Always be recording.
I talked to JJ about this as well. Now, I got in an argument with Extremely Boring about this, and the Skype comment I gave to her in this argument at the end of the argument, when I was pretty fed up and at the end of my tether, she claimed was abusive, showed to other people, at least one other person, and wrote messages to people about it. Now, the reason I am doing this publicly, and I want to make this clear, this is the reason I'm doing it publicly. This is the message she wrote to JJ, who was on Skype with me at the time, and we were talking about whether I was inappropriate to her in this unbroadcasted hangout. So the actual message she said Extremely Boring sent her is, I left your group, sorry. Has nothing to do with you or the group. I just can't be involved in anything that Chris is in. He showed a lot of red flags tonight, and it's something I should have seen sooner. I don't really...
Red flags. Well, isn't it a good thing when you're a bunch of communists?
want to get into it. I'm still in a bit of shock over it, and I don't want to make a big deal out of it either. And please don't say anything to
Mission failed there, kiddo.
anyone about it. I don't want to start a thing and make things worse, and I have
Which is definitely not the feminist mantra.
absolutely no problem with you remaining friends with him. I wasn't sure if I should say anything at all, but I felt like I should. Now, this kind of sounds like a harmless message. Let me tell you why I take issue with it. She basically says I did something to her that's really shocking, but does not elaborate on what it is, and that makes it worse.
Wait, first of all, you want your accusers to name yourself, then you want to have the accusations you want to know what you're accused of? Dude, you do not understand how totalitarianism works. Allow me to recommend that you watch the movie Brazil by Terry Gilliam.
Because if you say that someone did something to you really shocking to somebody, and then say I don't want to talk about it,
well, maybe that person just has a low threshold on what shocks them. Trust me, I've run into some pretty squeamish types online.
the fact you don't want to talk about it and the fact that you don't elaborate on it makes the other person assume it's something really awful. And
that's why she said she doesn't want to talk about it. She wants to leave the accusations as vague as possible so people will think the worst of you, buddy. It's a common technique.
This to JJ. JJ is the person she was accusing me of being inappropriate with in the conversation, and this awful thing that I supposedly did was arguing with her about it.
Oh my God. You do not argue with women feminists. You're not allowed to, man. I mean, that's cardinal rule of the Inquisition. Holy shit, man. We are really knee-deep in Monty Python sketches possibilities here.
Arguing with her and defending myself from this accusation that was inappropriate with somebody who doesn't think my behavior with them was inappropriate. Now, because this has happened, and multiple people, I've been kicked out of groups because of this. I've been kicked out of groups. I've had people stop following me on Twitter.
Yeah, that's the ostracism stage of the cult. You know, the effort to make you toe the line will result in people threatening to leave you, to quit following you, and tell them, and then to accuse you of somehow having never been actually a friend of something or proper or something, and my beliefs and my faith in you is so shaken and whatnot. You'll hear a lot of that kind of thing.
And unfriend me on Facebook. So since this has happened, that makes it public, in my opinion.
Okay, actually, wow, really, you lost Facebook friends. Poor dear. Aren't those specifically the kind of people that are dime a dozen in the friendship zones?
Since she wrote to JJ where she didn't have to say anything about me. But she said, I left the group for personal reasons. Or she could have said, I left it because Chris and I had a fight. I'm not going to talk about it. Instead of saying he did something really horrible and I'm not going to give you any of the details. And she was talking to me at the time, so she already knew what it was. So that's what happened. So I'm gonna have to give some like background into personal things about me and Extremely Boring, because she fucking turned people on YouTube against me.
Bring on the dirty laundry.
And that's insane. This is like fucking high school.
Yes, it is. That is the most astute thing you'll hear here all night.
So I had to make a video about it. I don't give a shit whether you think making this video is appropriate. I will not regret making this video if everyone I mentioned in this video,
everyone else will be regretting you making this one,
commit seppuku in a live hangout on YouTube. I will regret their death.
They just want you to flog yourself.
Regret making this video. So here's the deal. Extremely Boring and I, as many people have noticed, have had like a long flirtation on YouTube. Now most people don't know the actual, depths of what happened. I used to call her
well, hey man, if you're looking to someone to flirt with on YouTube now, I'll upload this and we can get something started.
My YouTube wife, and I used to
a waifu.
Like joke that Big Lundy was my YouTube husband. But Extremely Boring and I, basically, I was in a relationship with someone else. I wanted to be serious with this person though, and they wanted like more like a casual relationship, more like a
friends with bennies. Then that probably wasn't a relationship. The relationship was a better guy that she was just, sleeping around on with you.
Fling, an affair, something like that. While
note the word affair he used.
Knowing this about how I felt about this person, Extremely Boring initiated kind of like sexual talk on Skype with me one night.
Kind of funny how female approval works. Once you have the approval of one, the rest follows suit. It's a hive mind, guys, and the feminists aren't not invulnerable to it. They're the ones who double down the hardest.
And I reciprocated with it and then felt horrible about it. So I told the woman I was seeing about it, and she said it was okay. Which I actually didn't want her to say. I wanted her to say, no, don't talk to this woman ever again. Because I wanted to be really serious in a relationship with her.
He tried to make her jelly.
But the fact that she said, I don't care, kind of hurt me. But
shouldn't have.
Extremely Boring, and I
mean,
like
you're just a
this kind of
man. I mean, he's just a man, right? Men have no feelings, so saith the feminists. Just roll with it, buddy.
Really didn't ever do that again, though. But we continued like the kind of flirtation thing. Now, when I broke up with the woman who I was seeing, or accurately, she broke up with me. She broke it off with me because I was pushing.
Yeah, because women do not enjoy clingy manginas. By the time that there were songs making fun of the notion of sensitive new age guys, which was almost pretty much right after the sensitive new age guys came about. I mean, that should have been like a clear lesson to everybody on what people in general just want.
For it to be more serious, and she didn't want it to be more serious. That's basically what it was. And she got tired of me pushing for it to be more serious and broke it off with me. Now, I was devastated by this. And that week, Extremely Boring wrote me on Skype and said that I was neglecting her that week and that she really needed attention from me and that she thought I was being really bad to her.
Attention whore's gonna attention whore.
I was neglecting her. Now, here's the thing. Like, I was devastated. I, had a crying fit in a hardware store.
And what this gal wanted you to do, according to you, is to man up and quit your man baby tears and do shit for the feminist, huh? Okay. give your money, hashtag give your money to women
in public that week. I was just devastated, like not being able to eat, sleep, crying for no reason, like high school level
This
breakup.
is a
like,
Hawthorne Heights song level of emo.
Devastated by it. Like since like college. And here is Extremely Boring, who I resented because she had, attempted to initiate sexual things, which is my fault too, by the way, because I reciprocated with me while she knew I had a girlfriend, and now that ended.
No, it is never your fault. No means no, doesn't it? Yes, maybe means no, doesn't it? I love how he can't apply the rules that every woman is supposed to be able to live by to himself. He's endorsing double standards throughout. And this endorsement of double standards, of treating one group of human beings like one way and making these assumptions off of them and going with an opposing set of assumptions on himself is exactly what got him into this damn situation.
And it was very a lot of complex emotions. So I told her all this. I told her all this about what I was going through.
And she said that men don't have the same emotional intelligence as women. Right. She needed to femsplain your feels to ya. Gotcha.
And then I told her at the end of it to just fuck off. Because I thought that was extremely insensitive of her, that she knows what I'm going through. And then demands I basically meet her needs. Now I'm telling you this because the conversation I'm going to show you actually references this. So that's the only reason I'm telling you this.
Other than to teach the rest of the men who can learn a lesson about women and feminism in general, that, even when you're in the pit of despair, buddy, you better hashtag he for she.
But I deleted her from all social media. You know why you never heard of this drama and I never made a video about it? Because I didn't tell anybody. Because it was something private between her and me. That's how you do it, Extremely Boring.
Holy shit. And here I thought it was men weren't supposed to bury this stuff anymore, and they were supposed to feel, and feminism was supposed to free you to be able to express yourself in this manner. I guess not. I guess the the feminists just want you to sit down and shut up and obey.
Like, I deleted her from everything. If anyone had asked me, what's with you and Extremely Boring? Because we used to, like, be attached at the hip. I don't know how you can be attached to the hip on YouTube, but
I prefer the pelvis myself.
If we were in person, we'd be attached to the hip. So, like, if anyone had asked me, I would say that's between her and me. Like, I would never give them details. I would never do that.
Why do you have a black eye? Oh, I fell down the stairs.
Because that's how you do it. Like, if you have a private dispute with somebody, you don't bring it public. You don't tell other people on YouTube about it. Because I have friends in the real world. I actually don't think Extremely Boring does. Which is not, I'm not making fun of her. I'm not criticizing her for that. But I actually don't think she does. So that might actually be part of the problem. But, so I didn't do that. But then a week after that, I texted her and apologized for it. And then we worked it out. But this already had set
such
this kind of precedent of me being abusive toward her. Because I got really mad because I thought that she didn't fucking give a shit that I'm going through this horrible thing and is demanding that I act like she's my girlfriend, which she was not and has never been.
And this is for summation. This guy has a breakup and literally, as opposed to rebounding, lashes out at the person who I don't know, guess wants rebounds, cyber sex or whatever. And here's the annoying thing is there's not even this person did not even apply the meaningless Facebook type HUGS hugs. That's a hug on the lines. Send an internet hug to somebody, which is, to me, has always been one of the most meaningless displays of pseudo emotion out there.
The thing is, she demands attention like she's my girlfriend, and she's not, and has never been my girlfriend.
Oh no, she's a manic pixie dream girl.
So despite this, Extremely Boring tells me eventually that she loves me. And
Common method of
we
manipulation.
had a previous conversation where she had said that would have to date someone for a year to say that she loved him, like at least a year.
Man,
not like
make a
saying,
man
like,
jump
it
through
normally
hoops.
takes me about a year, which would make that the average. No, at least a year. Year is the minimum, which I thought was...
Here I thought that dating with the loving somebody or admiring or being attracted to somebody would be the reason why you would date them. This is like completely the reverse. And how many other people have said, yeah, they knew they loved somebody right from the get-go? That's the thing. This person then, if love is instead a series of shit tests, if not even that, I wouldn't even be saying like the common forms of obligations or filial duties that would come with love, or even the emotional endorphin boosts of attraction and eros. This person is just going to say, you better hang around and put up with my shit for a year, and then I'll tell you, and then I'll throw you a bone. My God, she sounds so giving, doesn't she? But then again, we're talking about YouTube feminists.
Insane. But then, like, suddenly this woman who has never met me on the internet tells me she loves me.
Yeah, that's probably then a sign of insanity.
I was in a very vulnerable place once again. Breakup. Lost someone who rejected me and made me feel worthless.
And that's also part of the problem. I mean, you talk up to the manosphere, the entirety of the manosphere, whether you're a PUA or a MRA or a MGTOW, it's about changing that paradigm, that classic, almost perceptively perceived inescapable paradigm of female, a man's only ability to feel self-worth being through feminine approval. Guys destroy their lives seeking it. I'm gonna have to do some red pill reviews of books like Great Expectations and Tom Jones and stuff, because there's some age old red pill truths in those works that I don't think get commented on in the modern day. And because a lot of the young guys don't read or even listen to the audiobooks like I do, cheat that much. When that's really something we should be looking to, because if modern entertainment is so fucking shitty because of the mangina factor, well then maybe it's up to us to find, to rediscover the classics and thereby become much better read.
So the thing with Extremely Boring is, we started talking about the possibility of meeting in the real world. We started talking about the possibility of dating in the real world.
Oh, like a Gigi
now,
and wherever.
Boring lives with her boyfriend.
Okay, there's a red flag.
She says she's polyamorous, but it's probably...
Okay, and she just said she's unattractive. Yeah, I know Rush Limbaugh's undeniable truth of life, number 24, is feminism is a way for unattractive women to gain access to power. But seriously, the general rule of polyamory, or as they usually call it, swingers, the Lycus rule on swingers is swingers are always the least sexually desirable people in the room. The people that, and honestly, the part of that is when people make a declare of polyamory, that often comes with the implication there is they're not into the commitment of pair bonding. And that's why that's why poly has, right from the get-go, above most of the other kinks, such a bad reputation. You're talking about something that's a pretty intense violation of a lot of our social mores when it comes to, because it plays into the family. You can do domestic discipline. You can do, you can be a Gorian probably and have a pretty damn normal family life. You can do pony play and whatnot and just keep the saddles in the cupboard and keep the saddles in the closet and hope the kids don't find out one day and start running around the house playing cowboys and Indians. Well, of course, not that any of these people would be playing cowboys and Indians. It's rather insensitive.
News to her boyfriend. Because she has told me her boyfriend doesn't mind if she has a girlfriend, but doesn't want her to.
Okay, yeah, there's the bi-double standard, isn't it? Or the this is why attractive lesbian fictional characters do not count as LGBT-friendly works.
Be with other guys. I don't know if you've looked at me, but I am not female.
You're a mangina. That's close enough.
So basically, anything she did with me might be considered cheating by her boyfriend, especially since we started talking.
Well, if you're poly, then yeah, probably you're not. And everything that she said so far, or that he's saying about her having said, implies a person who really doesn't give a shit about people's emotions, particularly men's emotions, which is going to be one of the hallmarks of feminism.
Talking about things like her coming to Seattle, her meeting me, and the possibility of her moving to Seattle.
Won't be much sleep.
Now, extremely boring, has not had a job her entire adult life.
Okay, run that by me again.
It's one of my apprehensions about her coming to Seattle and
Good
possibly
call.
moving to Seattle. Now, she claims that she cannot have a job because she has bipolar disorder.
Called it. BPD, polyamory. Oh my goodness. Doesn't this just all... And this is the hallmark of who feminism attracts and who feminism wants to put into power. You know, the unattractive, when hashtags go on about feminism is, hashtag feminism is ugly, or feminists are ugly and feminism is awful and everything, they're not talking about physical beauty standards. When they say feminists are ugly, they're talking about the behavior, this not treating other human beings as whether or not they have emotions deliberately, even and the hypocrisy therein. Admittedly, this is me. This is the pot calling the kettle. I mean, most of the MRA crowd and MGTOW crowd that I've noticed, including people like Spencer Skinner, are a lot better on this. I'm just a person who's managed to learn to give zero fucks in regards to a lot of the fifis, because feels don't beat reals. And that's what this guy is in a well of right now. He's dealing with people. He's got deals with people who only understand feels and believe in feels.
Doesn't really stop most people who are bipolar from having a job. And in fact...
Yeah, no shit. I mean, really, that's got to be one of the lamest excuses ever I've heard about for not being able to work, being unsuitable for work. Really, what's keeping her from being able to hold down a job or even get one is probably the whole feminism thing. I bet you she got a gender studies degree of some sort, no real life skills. Not any particular understanding of how economics or work or the capitalism or the job market. It's a real annoying. It's a really hilariously recurring theme with Tumblr era feminism.
She's self-diagnosed, doesn't take medication, doesn't see a therapist. I tried.
Okay, I get it. She's a Tumblr BPD. That's different from actual BPD, as in it's just a bunch of young people looking for excuses to act like assholes. I mean, really, it's back in the 90s. We used to joke about people searching for through their couch cushions for a reason to be depressed. With the emo, or before the emo was the goth kid crowd. This is just that taken up to, well, the next generation's level, in which it's also politicized, vindictive, and angry.
Try to help her with resources, like telling her, you can get Medicaid, you can get, therapy, you can get on disability. If you've been unemployed this long and your mental illness is that crippling, you can get on disability. Try to help her with those things. She would always have a million excuses why she couldn't do it. Despite this, I really wanted to help her. She was someone who was really close to me. I considered her a really good friend, and I did consider her a potential romantic partner.
That's the problem if you've got only internet friends too. And I think that's another part of what's going on here is you have a lot of people in the modern age that are sealing themselves off in their apartments or and they're forming these, like, sounds like the only person that he's talking about getting it being, publicly, meeting face to face with it. And it sounds like, okay, yeah, he must have had sexual relationships with somebody who wasn't actually a woman who was not emotionally attached to him, but only wanted to use him for whatever sexual services he could provide along those lines, or at least a casual relationship that would not take him seriously. So the lone sexual relationship that we have evidence or his testimonial of him being involved in was with a person who was not viewing him as an actual potential life partner. This is odd because this is also showing one of the things that a lot of red pillars discuss about is the cock carousel and hypergamy and hypoagency. And he's kind of proving the arguments about women, these negative portrayals of women in the manosphere, and some of these through his own relationships. Now, mind you, he says, like, right out the get-go, he's never going to be an MRA. He's never going to be, because those guys are all just assholes, and he's not the bad man. He's the good guy. And he's also talking about how he's looking for something that women aren't interested in. But I think I might have lost my chain of thought. I just can't help but notice. But yeah, there's women. Because men in the modern age, as we can see, are far more likely to be looking for permanent relationships, whereas women nowadays, post-sexual revolution and now that women have multiple forms of birth control and can, if they want to, get pregnant at any time and destroy a man's, enslave a man for the next 18 years by getting pregnant, by lying about being on the pill or reversing a condom and sludging it up inside herself after sex, or any number of other ways. I mean, there's been stories of women actually women spitting into their own hands after a blowjob and shoving it up there or whatnot. They're fully able to take the reins not only of their own sexuality in the modern age, but also of a man's. And in regards to that, female sexuality has become much more, as many people, animalistic. It's much more carnal. It's almost like the ancient Greek and Roman assumptions about female lust have more truth to them than the medieval European views of male lust being a more degrading influence on virginal women, or that you're supposed to seek a good, these good women versus the bad women. So he's still trying to play Galahad when the modern prevalence to the removal of any repercussions to the expression of sexuality for women has changed the women. He's going off of an old model, of an old ideal of what women are supposed to be, when the new reality is something completely opposite, and is actually it sounds like he's being treated as treated as we would expect a woman to be in a stereotypical situation, in a situation that we view as the stereotypical, guys just want to get laid, women want to settle down. Here, this guy is clearly a guy who wants to settle down. This is what's so fucking sad. He wants a woman to come by and put the slave collar on him. And yet, the only sexual relationship of that, the only relationship of that maturity that he's mentioned was a woman who had no interest in that, of taking over his autonomy, which is hilarious. And that's something that he found upsetting. He's just a big old puppy dog looking for somebody to put a leash on him and maybe take him for a walk. And sit up and beg for scraps and tidbits that will be offered to him. And then gets upset that this other person who's already got a dog on a leash wants to add him to the pack or whatever. That's kind of an interesting idea. I guess in long and short is that the modern relationship is borked, and this poor guy, even if he is a feminist, is kind of the proof. Except he's going to draw all the wrong fucking conclusions. He's out of his own life situations. He's not going to learn from this stuff. Other red pillars can point to all this, and there's probably Reddit threads already going on about, hey, this proves everything that we've been saying. All this high school bullshit. It's women, not guys. If we choose to believe the guy at his face value, which, remember, according to feminism, you're never supposed to do. And quite a catch-22 situation he's in here.
Like, I fucking love her. I do love her on some level.
Oh,
I still do.
That's sad.
And I just felt like she's been with this guy. This guy's been taking care of her for 5 years. She's just looking for another guy to take care of her. That's how I felt. I was always suspicious of that.
It's called monkey branching if you're a red pill. And MGTOWs and PUAs are always aware of that situation.
And I never found anything in our interactions that really contradicted that. And in fact, like how she's acting toward me now just kind of confirms that in my head. That's how she was. Now, I didn't want to believe that about her, but...
because, he's not that kind of guy. He obviously wanted to believe that women were not that kind of women. He didn't want to believe anything ill of women to begin with. That's kind of what drew him into feminism. It's what also makes sets so many of these guys up for a nasty fall. A really sad, just bone-breaking, compound fracture-inducing chunks of rebar skewering right through you fall that we're watching going on with this. And this is apparently only one of the part. Now there's other people making reaction and commentary vids on this. I'm probably one of the few people on the opposing side of this argument. I'm only few in the anti-feminists or in the manosphere that is bothering to go through this video and make commentary like this. It's not like somebody like Bane66AU is going to do anything like this. He doesn't do these off-cuff things, and he usually just brings up a bunch of stats, which are really cool. Spinosaurus only gets involved, it seems, if there's a lot of straw manning going on of MRAs and such. They're about MRAs. They're seriously consider themselves, MRAs and MGTOWs and men going their own way, men's human rights advocates and the like. I don't consider myself serious in any degree. I'm just an asshole.
That's what it leads to. Like, you may ask yourself, why would you get involved with somebody who has all these red flags, to use her term?
Well, that's Captain Save-A-Ho for you. That's part of the essence and the core of being a male feminist ally. You're supposed to be throwing yourself on the grenades to make sure that these women do not have to live or exist in any form of discomfort.
Because I'm an idiot. That's why.
Okay, there's a bit of nice self-awareness.
So, I was talking about her coming here to the city without a job, with like basically me taking care of her, and I'm not rich. I don't know if you noticed that.
Hot
Not
times,
rich.
sponging in the city. Well,
I
actually,
live in a very
Seattle.
expensive city. I have huge student loan debt. Not wealthy. So
you're not really the likely target of a woman's attempt to monkey branch into a more prosperous situation anyways, are you? That's actually kind of curious that she would actually want to seriously do this if she had taken such talk seriously.
her coming to live here would have been very hard, and I was trying to make it happen. She finally moved out of her boyfriend's place and moved in with her mother.
Wait, did she move into her mother's basement? Because if that's what happened, man, that is amazing. We've got evidence of super projecting.
And then moved back, which will also be referenced in this and what I'm going to show you, because that was something that upset me because she didn't even talk to me about it. Because once she moved out of her boyfriend's place, I stopped feeling guilty about what we were doing, which she has never really expressed guilt about it, except maybe once.
Welcome to the modern women. You should not feel guilty about anything you do to them, because they will never feel guilty about anything they do to other people. It's the sense of entitlement is what makes it work. They really feel that. They really do feel that rules should not apply to them because of what's between their legs. My goodness, the projection all over the place from them when they make those arguments too, don't they? Hashtag manspreading, hashtag mansplaining, hashtag blah.
And also it made it more plausible that we could meet and then find out if we had romantic potential in person.
Meanwhile, he probably walked by a bunch of Republican girls that were really taking him to town and giving him what he wanted out of life to begin with.
And I told some people about the situation in real life, and I ended up telling some people on YouTube about it, because I kept my mouth shut with people on YouTube about her personal shit, of course, until this happened. And many people lose respect for her immediately when finding out that she's been living with a boyfriend and basically trying to get me to move her to Seattle and live with me the whole time.
Oh, so admittedly, I first thought that they were losing respect for her because she was living with a boyfriend. Like, I don't know, like YouTube females can't actually have relationships with men because they're, I don't know, evil rapists or something. Oh, or is this because she was playing two guys, or is this because she was sponging off of one guy while attempting to move, I don't know, to a better city or something? I think that's the only thing that she could have probably manipulated out of this situation. I'm not sure where she comes from. I haven't seen any of her stuff yet. While I'm certain reaction videos to this guy's flounce have got to be fascinating from the women involved. Although I do like how much this, I mean, seriously, even people like Sandman and Barbarossa and whatnot and Stardust, when they, kind of attack each other, they can admit to go to each other's corner and still discuss the ideology and they can actually, there's bigger fish to fry. But when the politics, when you're committed to this feminism's or progressivism's personal politics, the identity politics, that the personal is political, there's no fucking agree to disagree. There's no chance for, there's no chance for big tents of differing ideologies or different ideas and yet a similar platform. It's got to be all or nothing. It's this hive mind. It's this cult for them. And that's why it's so hard for them to learn from their mistakes. It's the form of insanity where they're just doing the same thing again and again, and it's never working. But they figure, the umpteenth time I do it, this is the time that's all going to go perfectly. This is the time that communism is going to work. This is the time that she'll notice that I'm better than all the other guys because I say I am, and I swear allegiance to a certain flag.
I understand why you'd lose respect for it. I made excuses for it. Like I said, she's in a bad situation. I'm just trying to help her out of that situation. But when she finally got to her mom's, then she fucking moves back. So
then clearly the situation was not that bad. Whatever said situation was.
Really upset me. Now, apparently, having read my Skype interactions with Extremely Boring and the Archduchess both considered this to be abuse of her. Now, keep in mind, she's not my girlfriend. She's never been my girlfriend.
Airing dirty laundry.
So, they're comparing it to an abusive relationship. God. Now, you can abuse people who you're not in a relationship.
Mind you, that he's the abuser,
talk to someone
not
in a
her.
Relationship, should be. You should speak to them with respect as much as possible. You should try to communicate with them. You should respect their feelings. We all agree on that, right? Okay.
I felt a woman's greater emotional intelligence means that she doesn't have to respect your feelings. I'm not going
to go through the entire thing. The last thing I did, which was her going nuts and going, "You're an abuser," and going off, because this is me at the end of my tether, being pissed off. Now, to give you context here, she did.
To give you context here, this is an example of a woman working a man up specifically so that she can ride the emotional highs of an altercation. This is a woman inciting what she would they're, of course, now saying that, he's abusive shitlord, when they're the ones that are apparently in a situation, according to him at least, where they are abusing him, or at least, just jerking his chain around so he gets frustrated. They're literally poking a monkey. Now that we're back to Bewildered Ape, they're literally poking a monkey in a cage, trying to make him dance. And then what, crying to teacher because the monkey dances, starts flinging its poo? I mean, holy shit. This is the sort of crap that goes... This isn't even high school stuff like he's saying it is. This is the grade school bullshit. You taunt the kid until they lash out. They taunt the kid you're bullying till they lash out, and then you go to the teacher and claim you're the victim because they lashed out, right?
The same thing, she complained about me not having given her enough attention. Now, as I've mentioned in videos previously... So,
literally attention whoring.
I just got a new job. It is a third shift job.
Okay, he has all my feels,
It pays about 25% more.
Which is, why you work the midnight shift.
It's hard for me to adjust to, and it's much more demanding than my previous job.
Which is, midnight shift,
working for the same company, but it's a different job.
Fucking up all night. You guys have no idea.
So now I have this job.
Unless you've been on the third shift, you don't know.
I just don't have enough time this past few weeks, and just a lot of stuff's been happening too. So
he doesn't
I didn't have enough
there's
time
just
really
not enough
to,
tampon in him to soak up all that emotions.
She said that I'm not doing the little things that make her feel loved or whatever. Something like that. I don't know what the little things are. It's like,
he's
you gotta
not
tell me, you gotta
validating
give me
her.
something, not a mind reader.
You know, she can only seek
I talk
This
to
is
her
the whole
almost
problem
every
when
day.
you
Despite
think
the
you can
schedule, I've talked to her almost
only
every day. Even
find
if it's only for a few
validation in
minutes.
other people.
Ask her how she's doing. Show concern about what's going on. I don't know what you can do more than that. So complained about that again, and then accused me of flirting with JJ in the hangout. Now, once again, the hangout,
So throws a fit at him for what? Supposing, and this is, remember, this is all, according to him, this is the reactions of a person with self-diagnosed borderline personality disorder, perceiving that he is flirting with somebody else when he is not in a relationship with her, and therefore yelling at him for cheating on a non-relationship when she's polyamorous. Fuck the hypocrisy.
JJ and just one other person.
You seriously cannot keep up with the fucking hypocrisy. It's just coming too fast and furious.
Back on JJ, why would I invite more people when I'm almost alone with her?
Well, probably because you need witnesses. Always have witnesses. Always be recording. If there's a feminist in the room, you have got to make sure that there are.
I'm not going to reveal who this person was. It's someone on YouTube.
Impartial.
And extremely boring. Compared my behavior to that stalker. And she also compared it to one of Captain Eddie's vegan hangouts. JJ.
She literally calls them the worst things that because this guy is a white knight. These are the worst things you can call him. You know, calling white knight, saying that white knight is a stalker, even though a lot of these guys do have the stalkerish tendencies. Even though a lot of these guys do have. When feminists complain about guys being creeps, or just these basic shitlording, comments about guys, these blanket statements about guys, the guys that they're talking about in every one of these situations are the progressives, are progressive males. They may scream about the actions or what they believe are the actions by the war on women right-wingers, but that's all illusions in their fucking head, and they never actually have any real experience with conservatives. You can kind of tell this by listening to conservatives talk about the few in-person, altercations they have with feminists. They always either are people who the feminist always freaks out, goes from zero to freak out in a matter of seconds, or they actually have a surprisingly lovely chat until the person reveals himself as being a right-winger, and then the progressive is horrifyingly confused.
Or even after she said no, browbeating her and trying to get her to do it, and not respecting her saying no.
Well, that's how an inquisition works.
My behavior in that hangout.
Yeah, she wants an auto-da-fe.
Now, JJ doesn't think it was like that, and when I first talked to them, neither Archduchess or Sage Lion thought so. Apparently their opinions have changed. But
that's the hive mind at work, buddy.
Neither of them thought so either, that it was like that in any way, or inappropriate in any way. So basically she's telling me that
until one girl browbeat the others.
18-year-old girl.
The alpha bitch told the 18-year-old alpha bitch.
I so wish that hangout had been live on the air, so that I had a tape of it, but it's not.
ABR guys, always be recording.
Oh well. Now, one of the reasons this bothers me, being accused of abuse and things like this, is just because how many videos I've made about rape. It's the thing that throws me into
He's the nice guy. He's the good one. Ladies, don't you understand? He's just better stock.
About the way people talk about consent and rape on YouTube, and also about abuse, because I grew up in a house with domestic violence. I've been through therapy my whole life about the abuse.
Welp. Now we understand why you're seeking out women like this.
Well, there's people who know as much, but
God, dude,
nobody knows more.
Your own therapy needs to take hold. You are recreating the situations
in interactions than me.
Okay, here's the thing. We're all basically trying to recreate the childhood of, the situation we had in our childhood without extensive cognitive therapy and very meticulous behavioral modification on our own part, literally looking before we leap in every situation, we often trend towards the situations that we knew at home. It's disastrous, especially in a guy like this situation. The early imprinting of what was made for a normal relationship was an abusive situation, and by his own admission. Of course, this could be any kind of sort of abuse. We don't know. I don't know the full details yet, and I'm not really interested in going into his life. But the generalities are there. People and fictional characters in general as well will try to recreate the childhood they had, no matter how good or how bad, because we regard this as normal. The way a biological father and a biological mother interact has an immense effect, male and female, on the male and female child, and will be part of what they seek out later in life. And it's hard for people to change that. That's maybe why you also have so many people just walking away from relationships at this point. The MGTOWs and the grass eaters and such. They just find they just take a look at what the supposed normal range is, or what the normal range is, or what they grew up to view as normal, and don't want that foisted upon them, and have an increasingly hard time finding alternatives that are just as viable or more viable. Of course, feminism will not supply any viable alternatives. It's just puritanical traditionalism, genocentrism repackaged. It's just more men sacrificing everything to women, like this guy is, and not learning from that, not changing how he approaches the world. Even though probably if he went back to a therapist and discussed what he's been through, his psychotherapist would probably tell him to drop out of probably that the feminist movement is probably bullshit, or at least the modern third wave as it's being called. And this is such an amazing thing that we have to split this down and qualify things that, the feminists of nowadays on Tumblr, the Tumblrina feminists, are not the women's rights advocates of yesteryear, of even 20 or 30 years ago. That there's something bizarre and horrible happened, and really what horrible happened was the women's studies department, and things like Title IX. The law of unintended consequences is that you have a bunch of people that are just, in the attempt to get a paycheck for the least work possible, are indoctrinating people into to become their support system, to be continuous habit of purchasing their textbooks and whatnot, are indoctrinating and programming some very broken individuals. Not that the Democratic Party has any problem with this. All these people vote bloc are part of the Democratic plantation. They see no other alternatives, and they don't have the initiative or understanding to actually form, alternative third parties, or say Tea Party blocs within the Democrat, to reform the Democratic Party and take it to something that they want it to be, that they purport they want it to be. Something that's anti-corporatist, something that's anti-fascist, which is basically what the Democratic Party is nowadays. I don't mean fascism as in tanks rolling down the streets, but oh my God, we do have a lot of MRAPs in police hands now. But I mean that the increasing marriage of business, of companies, of the means of production and the government, until, like George Orwell's, like in the ending of George Orwell's Animal Farm, the pigs are the farmers and the farmers are the pigs. And that's the way this shit always ends up. But, not a lot of these kids ever read that book. They were all too busy with Twilight.
So, like, being called an abuser, like, I take that really personally. And I'm going to go through these Skype interactions. And I also put it in,
Not only is too much of this guy's life wrapped up in approval of the feminine approval, seeking approval outside himself. I mean, literally, I don't care when people watch these things. I know I've only got like 60 subscribers and whatnot, and I don't exactly care how many. I'm impressed when a comment on Google Plus or whatnot gets a lot of +1s, but I'm not exactly married to. I want to just ramble off this just so it gets said. I mean, I know there are people that are specific. I know I have fans that are specifically not going to approve of the things I say. And oddly enough, then the challenge for me becomes, hey, be amazing enough of an artist where where I can get away with something, saying things that are truly monstrous, and yet they'll still stick around, or at least truly monstrous in their eyes, and they'll stick around for the rest of the genius, which oddly enough happens to be how a lot of artists operate. We tend to be an eccentric bunch, I've noticed.
and like, because I'm making points, I put it in 3 sections, because like when I abuse women, I like to do it in an orderly fashion. But I'm going to go through each section and then talk about like, where's this abuse. Okay, here is section 1. So I have a few things about what you have said to talk about. 1, I really do not see what these little things you're talking about are. I talked to you every time you were online. This is the second time you have accused me of this, and the first time was when you wanted me to reassure you after I had just broken up with KC, which I found to be monstrously selfish and self-absorbed at the time. I have a full-time job and writing a novel, trying to get 2 YouTube channels off the ground, and writing a blog, as well as dealing with numerous financial issues. You, on the other hand, really can't even do some of the most basic things I ask or need from a person to be in a relationship with them. You don't even consult me before doing things like agreeing to go back to, and I blank that out.
Well, she's, she's an independent woman, she doesn't have to consult him on any aspect of her life. She's going to live her own life, and she's just supposed to expect him to pick up the pieces. That's what white knights are for.
Because that's the city she lives in. I'm not going to reveal that. Now, it's true. Like, she made it like a major decision. Like, I'm trying to bust my ass to, like, make her life better. Someone I really don't know, and I only know from the internet.
And that's gynocentrism. That he just summed up. Busting my ass to make her life better. That is gynocentrism in a nutshell. That is what every MGTOW is rebelling against actively.
Than have extra money.
That's what the red pill is.
Like,
totally a reaction
working like 60 hours a week is not a good idea for me, because it doesn't allow me to work
60 hours a week. He just mentioned 60 hours of the week, and right now the 60-hour work week that a guy does, that all that overtime and the 25% extra for the midnight shift, this is one of the major feminist talking points debunked, and I'll bet you we've got a fucking video. This guy's got a video where he talks about the pay gap and how women need to get more, to be paid more, so because they're being discriminated against by men. I bet you we can find that.
Work on my project. I would rather have time to work on my artistic type stuff and things like that than have extra money. But now I have extra money instead of that. You know why? For her. That's why I took the job.
Of course, I got a job where I can do shit like draw,
because I have more money
on the free moments. Speaking of which, there's a page coming up this week. I'm actually halfway done with it.
I'm fucking stupid.
I'll +1 that comment.
That's why I did this, and I don't want this job anymore now. I honestly don't. I took this job, and then immediately she started.
Welcome to every guy ever. I don't want this job. I've got a woman that I'm trying to support, so I'll work a shitty job that I do not want. God damn it. He's running through so many truths of life, and yet there's not going to be anyone nobody on the progressive left, no male feminist will learn from this guy's situation. They're not going to be listening to this guy's tale of woe and saying, "Oh my gosh, hey, the MRAs, the MGTOWs, the PUAs, the Red Pillars, the Manospherians, even that asshole Roosh V, they're fucking right. They might have a point on this one thing here, that there's no society does a good way to back this up, because this is kind of an evolutionary thing, but there is a thing that guys do in actively trying to support women, the women around us, because it's something that we are inclined to believe in, because it's basically because that's where the females have these little things called babies, which are new little members of the tribe coming out of them. So we've got to make sure that while their bodies are turned to the literal production of a human being, like a little cloning vat, to actually making sure that the rest of the tribe is being taken care of, including and especially that female, because hey, there's new members of the tribe out the way. That's why gynocentrism happens, is a thing. That's why there's not a patriarchy. Remember, patriarchy involves a huge fucking conspiracy of shadowy organizations and evil masculine men out to oppress women, because there's something, I don't know what, hidden in women that is too good to be unleashed. Meanwhile, you get many of the same results of saying, no, there's just a natural male concern for women's safety, because evolution has geared us to this way. And of course, no, that doesn't jive with feminism. You can't have just this being human nature or male and female nature, because men and women, according to feminism, are supposed to be exactly the same, even though it appears that women have more reported mental health issues, including bipolar disorder, than men, which, oddly enough, my goodness, self-identifying BPD in feminism. Who knew?
Complaining at me about the job. Now, she's never really been emotionally reassuring to me very much.
Of course not.
Well,
she's a feminist
she's
woman. She doesn't. Sometimes. The whole core of feminism is not. There's nothing in feminism that gears a feminist woman to be emotionally reassuring to a man. When you believe in the tenet of rape culture, like this guy himself believes in rape culture. He's insistent that it's offensive to him so much because he's one of the good guys. He's not the bad guy. And he wants the cookie. He wants a cookie. He wants a pat on the head. And, of course, a woman cannot. He wants approval. He literally just wants somebody to actually view him as a good human being. He wants this religion. He wants the religion to forgive him of his sins. See, he's one of the good guys. He's one of the guys that can repress the evil nature that will have 1 in 3 men raping 1 in 4 or 5 or 3 women college age. He's the good guy. And he so wants this woman to recognize that in him, that he took a midnight shift, which I'll tell you is one of those things that it eats you alive if you're unprepared for it. You get no decent sleep. You gain, your health goes in the shitter if it isn't already there. You're constantly trying to, when it's a job that is going to get on you for falling asleep when your body is telling you should be asleep. There are few people that you're going to contact with. Your days off, you're going to keep the same schedule, and you're not going to have friends, because so few people actually work the midnight shift.
I've asked her to do things, and she never does them. She starts to do them sometimes.
She shouldn't have to do things for a man.
I've told her a bunch of ways.
Just because a man tells her to do things, she's a feminist.
She could even make money online, but stuff once again, trying to get on disability, trying to
Okay. I didn't realize. Okay, he's not helping her, not telling her to help him on projects. He's literally telling her to get on welfare, and she won't do it. She's so lazy. She cannot, honestly, because her disability, quote unquote, is so bullshit. She knows she wouldn't qualify for such in a minute. So instead, she's going to resort to e-begging, hashtag give your money to women. And she's going to, I mean, because of course she can't be bothered to work because, she's a bitch. Or, oh no, sorry, bipolar disorder. Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm sorry. There's a name for this. Really, she's self-diagnosing all this stuff, and she's apparently she's just incredibly lazy. I mean, if you're too lazy to actually get on disability, she's too lazy to actually even really, because she doesn't want to be run the risk of being pointed out as a scammer.
Anything to make her life better. Like, so she at least has health insurance and shit. Tried to do this for over and over again. And you just can't do that for someone else. Like, if they're not, for an adult, you can't do that.
Moment of clarity.
I don't know, no one else in her
promptly
life seems
ignored.
to care about, like, her not having that stuff. There is no way, like, that if I, had a girlfriend living with me, and even if she didn't work, like, with her relationship with her boyfriend, that I would, like, not let her have, like, fucking health insurance. Like the Affordable Care Act, I don't know, Washington is pretty liberal, so it's really easy to get health insurance here. Compared to this. The Affordable Care Act, like, really makes it easy for most people to get health insurance.
Or I could be in a union job like myself.
Like, there's got to be,
that involves you working midnight,
not
bro.
My state, so I don't really know what's going on, but I'm just like that stuff is, like, it kills me. Like, I'm worrying about this stuff constantly, but the person who it actually affects doesn't seem to worry about it. Like, that was...
Because she, of course, she doesn't care about it, because she knows she can get you or any other guy to do all the work because she has a vagina. Of course, this is the sort of woman that feminism appeals to. An incredibly intellectually lazy and incredibly mean-spirited. And of course, she wants a political backing. She wants a political system backing up her every whim, because she shouldn't have to adapt to a man's wishes or a man's desires, because that would require her to do work. And of course, he says he grew up with abuse, and this is exactly what he's seeking out in this woman, in these people. It's systematic abuse of men. And it seems to be that, yes, there's a lot of I keep on bringing up, medieval Catholicism and medieval, this Christianity, there's the off the wall kind of, not even beyond the snake handling kind of religiosity that you see. And this guy is all about self-flagellation, which is what a lot of men who subscribe to feminism are about, self-flagellation. They just want to be punished for their guilt. They want to be made to feel guilty and shamed of themselves, of being men, and they want to be justifiably then punished for such. It's amazing to see it in action, though, and see the wreckage in its wake.
That was one of the things that drove me fucking nuts. It's like, I'm fucking caring about your future and you don't care. Like, she doesn't care. Like,
she doesn't need to care because she got him to care. That's the goddamn point.
Literally doesn't care about having a job. She has no ambition whatsoever. Like, she literally told me this. She has no ambition to do anything.
No surprise there.
Maybe go back to school. But then what is she studying?
Maybe, yeah. You got to get that master's degree in gender studies.
No ambition to do anything. And, like, that bothered me. Now, what is abusive about that? This is the lightest one. What is abusive about that paragraph? Now, what defines something as abusive is, like, you're saying it to put the other person
something
down,
that could be potentially critical of a woman.
Or you're saying it to control the other person. Like, that's what makes something abusive.
Oh, you told her what to do, man.
If you're, like, expressing your emotions about something, just, like, saying, This is how I feel. What I'm saying in this paragraph is, you constantly are demanding things of
Men
me.
still feeling, good Lord.
But what are you giving me? Like, I don't really, like, what are you
Obviously
giving me?
Go
And I have felt that way about
Picardo stream.
my interaction with her for quite some time, because I feel like I'm trying to save her, which is not a good thing for me to do.
There's always this continuous nigh self-awareness that would be that would be essentially him swallowing what's referred to on Reddit and whatnot as the red pill. And yet, of course, he's not going to make it. Oh, it's and it's not. I'm a jackass, so I'm gonna just make fun of it. But here's the thing: it's not funny because he views himself as a good person and he wants to be a good man. And in the name of being a good man, he can be led to do awful, awful things to the men he perceives as bad men. That's religious zealotry. That you're looking at them, you're listening to a religious zealot have a crisis of faith, and yet he's going to apparently end up reaffirming his allegiance to a destructive religion, a destructive faith that is slowly killing him. He took remember, because of feminists, he took a midnight shift that paid him 25%. And I can tell you how effed up the midnight, the third shift can be.
It's not like good to get that complex. It's not good. It's like a
Captain Save-A-Ho. Do not be Captain Save-A-Ho.
Is dumb anyway.
That's how we say it.
I would rather be
in Manland, in the Manosphere.
But she seems to need saving because she doesn't seem to want to do it herself.
Of course, nobody wants to save them. Of course, they don't want to do the work.
I don't know. Like, I had the noblest of intentions.
You know what? Honestly, let me get on the movie Frozen. The best song in that movie was the song about how you can't get, to singing about, of course, in here they're singing about the guy being a fixer-upper, but of course part of the irony of the song is they're singing about they're singing this to the girl who is actually the one who needs to change the way she interacts with the world. Anna is the one that needs to change. The guy Kristoff is actually fine as he is. He actually doesn't have a story arc other than his grudging acceptance. He doesn't have a moment where Kristoff has to grow other than in his grudging acceptance of other people, including Anna. Kristoff's a friggin' MGTOW in the movie, and he's the least screwed up person in there. He's also the one has got the sharpest sense of human nature. Anna is the one who needs to change, needs to grow up and learn about, and rid herself of the childish illusions of who she thinks and what she expects of people.
But I'm an idiot. I'm just an idiot. There's just no other way to explain it. I don't see how that could be considered abusive.
Honestly, it's probably not an idiot. I'm not sure what he's got. If he's working a third shift, I'm guessing, and he's got heaps of student debt, I will venture that he is not working in the field that he studied for. If he studied for a field at all. I'm not sure what his degree is in. I'm certainly not a I guess I am an artist. I went to college to become for fine arts. I was originally going to do history, and as you can see right now, I'm doing artwork and chatting about this guy, this mess of a guy. But I went there to hone my techniques. I would be nowhere near as good an artist if I hadn't studied life drawing, if I hadn't studied illustration in college. And this is just one video of him that I'm analyzing, and I don't want to have to go through every last damn thing he's ever done to get the full bio. I'm not A&E here. But I'm guessing if he's working a midnight shift, he has not been able to apply his college education to his work. But here's the thing. He calls himself stupid. Okay, maybe he's made some mistakes. But here's another thing. If he went to college, he's obviously not stupid. But there's an opposite problem of being overeducated. Now we have the modern problem of people being overeducated and having a lot of indoctrination and zero skills. And feminism is part of that. That's bloody fucking indoctrination. You have these people that come out of those classes with zero life skill, applicable work or life skills, and an inability to get along with others, an indoctrinated inability to get along with others. Because they believe everybody else is shit. They come out of there thinking that they are, of course, the enlightened, and everyone else is. They come out thinking that they are the anointed, and everyone else is a sinner. He's a believer, and he's trying to get the religion to the objects, the anointed of his religion, of his belief system, to accept him. And it's backfired horribly. They're calling him creepy. They're calling him a sexual, an abuser. And of course, this is also part of it, parcel because feminism has so far lowered the bar for what we consider abuse and what we consider harassment. That an online tiff is suddenly, having had an online tiff and being in the same general circles, is of course harassment and stalking and abuse. And of course, he must be made to cry. He must be driven to the Matt Taylor point of an auto-da-fe.
What is written here. Now, I'm mad because she constantly says that she needs attention every time my life gets really busy. And I'm doing stuff either the first time I was really emotionally devastated, and the second time I'm really busy. And I'm busy because I'm trying to get more money so that I could be with her.
Oh, man.
Because I'm stupid.
Women, guys, remember that women are not a goal in life. He's doing all this so he can be with her, and then, of course, the feminists send around these things. Oh, the women aren't just. I thought there was a meme about women not being vending machines that you put kindness into until they dispensed vagina. Shit. Everything that feminists complain about and say that, all guys do, all these guys are, when they complain about men, they're complaining specifically about liberal men. Then she goes, sucks a PUA's cock at a bar. That's how she's poly with her boyfriend. And she doesn't tell him about it.
All right, here's the second one. I am more sarcastic in this one. And sarcasm itself is not abuse. Like, sarcasm, when you're using it to put someone down.
That depends on how far you've lowered the bar for abuse. And feminists have lowered that bar so far that merely civil disagreement, if you disagree with their politics, and because the personal is political, then you are disagreeing with them, invalidating. To disagree with feminism is to invalidate the feminist as a human being. So yeah, that's abuse. He's an abuser. He's a shitlord. Oh God, it's so sad to see this happen. He's trying to deny it, and he's trying to get the cult to take him back in, but I don't think it's going to work.
They're going to control them. Like, techniques that are abusive, like calling names is always abusive. Calling someone an idiot that you're in a relationship with, or calling them stupid.
So he's just called himself, so calling someone an idiot is abusive. He's just spent the entire time admittedly, here I am calling him an idiot. Well, no, wait, I'm calling him overeducated. I'm calling him his exact opposite. But he's calling himself an idiot again and again and again. And then he goes and says abuse, calling someone an idiot is abuse. Well, what the hell is it, buddy? When you call yourself an idiot and beat the shit out of yourself. And it doesn't occur to him to alter his perspective, to alter the way he views.
Stupid, like some abusers call their partners ugly or unattractive.
Feminism is ugly.
In order to lower their self-esteem, make them think that no one else would want them but them. That's what abusers do. That's part of abuse.
The opposite end, of course, is to use, to go on these campaigns of beautiful at any size and insist to beat other people down into forcing them to believe that you are the way you see yourself, and that's narcissism. That's another form, you could say, of abuse. Because when you say that you have to find me beautiful and anyone who doesn't is is to be treated like garbage. Yeah, that's beyond abuse. That's a couple of steps past. Abuse is the calling a person ugly is different from saying, I don't find this person attractive. And then having people attack another human being, and then because you force them to, because you're trying to say, you're supposed to find me attractive, and then the person says, no, I don't. And then you sick other people on them, of course. That's completely that's abuse too. That's a completely whole nother league, because then you're using violence, because that's what I see a lot of, and a lot of these campaigns about body image and whatnot is so much of it is based around creating situations of violence by proxy through clickbait article, because you're going to have people, it's just throwing grenades in the room for drama. So people like these Tumblristas can get their online drama fixes, their emotional highs. And it sounds like this is what these gals were looking for out of him all the time. The whole damn time they were looking just to get their emotional fixes, because emotions themselves are like a drug.
Gaslighting is also like a controlling technique. It's where abusers do something, and then like somebody might hit somebody, and then
God, it's a shitty
later
drawing of this house.
if they're confronted about it, say they never did it. And like my stepfather, like he would, the first time he ever punched me, he like asked me to come into his office. Like I'm 13.
Okay. He talks about growing up with he talks about growing up with an abusive family. Now, he's said that now at this point specifically that it was his stepfather punched him. I'll also add that here's the thing about he became a feminist because his mother was in an abusive relationship with his stepfather. So this, of course, colors his view of men as being bad, and him, of course, wanting to be the good son, right? And him he's still playing out this Freudian passion play. Like I said earlier, people try to recreate their childhoods, or they just live in their mom's basement. And this guy is trying to find other women to be the approving mother that will pat him on the head for being a good guy, for protecting them. And he's trying to find women. He's trying to be the supplanting male. And yet the thing is I doubt he has anything in his video history where he points out that his mother outright chose to bring an abusive man into her home when he was a child, and chose to expose him. This guy didn't kick the door in and then Stockholm syndrome set in over the months and that's boom, this is your stepdad. No, she sought this guy out. This is what people seek out continually, because that's just a bizarre and wretched part of human nature at times. And yet he's in the cycle himself, because he wants to be he wants to protect his mom from stepdad. So he's going to project that onto the rest of society. He's going to see stepdads that punch him in the face everywhere. And he's going to, in relationships with his virtual mothers, whom he wants to be approved, who he wants a pat on the head from.
I come into his office, and like his office at the house, and like he shuts the door and then decks me immediately. And after he did it, like I'm stunned. He starts talking to me like he never did it, and like something shocking just happened to you, and you're like, "Holy shit, this just happened!" But the person, like, he's acting like it didn't happen immediately. Like, so you're just like immediately, it's like this surreal experience.
Well, you're a man, so you must have been asking for it.
That's what they do. Like, they just like play these mental games to like control you, and it's not anger that makes them like abusive. They're controlling you.
With,
but I'll read
like these feminists are doing to him.
Here.
He's being controlled by feminists.
I am pretty much floored that you would be so dishonest as to deny that you engage in a completely settled sexual interaction.
This is
right
why
in front of me.
Men's rights activism, men's human rights movement exists. This is why other guys just decide other guys just decide to go MGTOW, just swear off the whole concept. This is why other guys become PUAs and regard women only as valuable as a convenient place to spill their seed. That, a slightly more warmer and more comfortable place than a tube sock.
Me than you ever have been. I have put up with this only because I go on dates still, but there is a reason that I do not tell you too much about that. I have to take you having overtly sexual interactions with other people constantly, though. But God forbid I flirt with anybody else, because polyamory girl can't take it. In addition, the fact that Rowena was the only person you can name me flirting with is telling.
Because an attention whore, once she has John, is going to be possessive of that John. And here's the thing. There is a natural, and this gets ignored completely. There is a natural assumption in women believe that and this is another one of those things that are, this is the stereotypical feminist projection, where women assume that they have the right to, they hold right of control over male sexuality. They should be able to get to decide when we fuck. They just should get to decide who we fuck. They should get to decide how we fuck. This is why feminists are against, as much as it is can be empowering, things like prostitution or sex work in general. This is why they're always against pornography. Anything that gives, this is why feminists are against video games. Anything that gives men an outlet for their emotions or for their interests that is not women, that is not them. They have the right of dominion over how we interact with the world, according to in their philosophy, in their belief system. And the moment we stray from that reservation, they're going to crack the fucking whip. And that's what he doesn't get.
You can also add Big Lundy on the list. So JJ may be and most likely is the first cis woman you have ever seen me flirt with. And you accuse me of flirting with her and apparently flirting with everybody else.
Oh, for fuck's sake, he used cis. And here's the thing. There's always this assumption of, these big male dude jock bros getting jealous, Neanderthal man type, He-Man. And oh, here we have the, what, exact opposite? Here we have a woman clearly becoming jealous over a man's flirt. This isn't, hey, that's my woman. No, this is, hey, that's my man. I'm not actually using him for anything, and he's just a toy for my attention. He just gives me, he's just a toy that gives me attention wherever I want to. But how dare you get attention from the same guy? This is my fix.
Else too. Also, you're extremely rude, constantly having conversations in the chat box when I or others are talking in Hangouts in the first place. You can't participate in the actual conversations.
Oh God! So she's got to jump into other people's conversations in chat box or whatever, in order to get her fix, in order to get attention. God, women are. See, this is the thing: is women at their worst are often like cats. This is also why you should never trust women who own cat. That's not good relationship. No woman who has fur babies is good relationship material because they can't operate emotionally on that level. They're just gonna women behave like cats. They just crawl in front of your fucking computer and look for attention. This guy's running down the negative female stereotype list, but because he is a feminist, he is going to say to himself at the end of the day that this says nothing about female nature in general. And yet he's convinced me. He's convinced me. I'm a believer. You wouldn't if it was just some PUA board, if it was just the Return of Kings, those those guys, clickbait trollers saying this kind of shit, you wouldn't believe it. You would just auto deny. But this is a male feminist having it happen to him. The train wreck is in slow motion, and we're just seeing every single part of the engine come off.
Instead, you derail what everybody else is doing. That is another example of blatant disrespect for me that I have put up with for far too long. Now, what I'm responding to here is extremely boring. Not only does like BDSM stuff in Hangouts in the chat box with Moena,
of course,
she has a patron on her Patreon who writes her these BDSM, and she shared one with me on Skype.
Rainbow-haired she-twink.
Like if this bothered me once, and what I actually said was, what did I say? I said I can't stop you, or something like that. Like,
oh God, you can't. He went and said. He said he didn't care. He implied he didn't care that she does this. That will only make a woman freak out, an attention whore freak out more than not paying direct attention to her, than avoiding her.
Like, I'm not going to tell you not to do it. Now, anyone who can, infer from basic human behavior would...
Trust me, feminists cannot. Dude, you're barking up the wrong tree if you're trying to find people who understand human beings. Part of feminism is a core part of feminism is just being a fucking reptiloid who doesn't understand how these warm-blooded creatures surrounding them operate, and instead of taking a unique interest in them, instead despising them and wanting them to become reptiloids like themselves.
Know that, like, that's telling you I don't approve of it, but I don't feel it's appropriate for me to tell you not to do it. Because once again, she's not really my girlfriend. But also because this is her only income.
She wasn't her boyfriend's girlfriend either. She's Polly.
Is this patron who's giving her $500 a month.
God, seriously, nobody who puts Polly on their FetLife profile is ever somebody that you'd want to stick your dick in to begin with, or at least me. And that doesn't mean, Polly, doesn't mean that you are a evil person or you're even a bad person. You're just somebody I don't want to shove my dick into.
for BDSM interactions. So, like, I'm not gonna stop her from getting $500. There's no way. But it bugs the fucking hell out of me.
Oh God, dude. She's writing. She's cyber sexing for $500 for fuck's. That's feminist cyber sexing. I can only if this didn't involve video text, I can only envision this as an incredibly cringeworthy chat log, and that some. God damn, that she found some beta providers. She found some beta. The fedora goes tipping, even though I don't have one. I will go. You see, this is the thing. You always got to spend money on women. I gotta go find a fedora. I gotta go buy a fedora just to tip to this woman's ability to bilk beta males.
Like all her, she's flirting with people constantly. She's having overt sexual interactions. And once again, like extremely boring, as you can tell from this sarcastic comment I made, like she is an advocate for polyamory. Like you can't see her videos because she's already disabled her channel, but on her videos, she's always been an advocate for polyamory. Now, she calls herself polyamorous, but once I said that's probably news to her boyfriend.
She's irresponsible and unable to emotionally commit to people. She's a reptiloid. She is. If there's people that just have a lot of love in them for other people, honestly, fuck. You know what? People who just want to fuck won't come up with terms like polyamory. Just want to fuck around. And people who just view themselves as loving multiple people, people with the emotional depth to be in love with multiple people, they don't come up with terms to excuse it. You know? This recent trend towards blank sexual and adding the whole shitty Scrabble hand to sexual identity. This is I used to back when I was in college back in the day. I used to joke about what I called the homopoliticos. I couldn't call them, and I'd always say, and this was my attack on identity politics back then, because I couldn't call them homosexuals, because obviously if you're over at the protest all the fucking time, if you regard what you want to do with your swizzle stick, with your genitalia, if how you play with your genitalia has become part of your marching order political identity, you're going to be way too outraged all the fucking time, and you're going to be over as that's the death. You're not a homosexual. You're a homopolitical. You are never going to get laid with your attitude, specifically because these people are also always angry and always seeking ways instead of to connect, but to instead disconnect. They're looking for others. They're constantly on the lookout for heretics to hound out of existence, because that's how they get their jollies. That the drama and this is how they define themselves. Destroying the outsider is how they reaffirm themselves as a member of the tribe. And when you also do that along your sexual identity, and if you claim that and they do this also to sound enlightened and edgy as well, which it never is, because Christ, people who hide their sexuality are always going to be a lot more intense in what they do sexually than anything that people who are publicly that are publicly Scrabble fuck. Here's the way I call it. There's 3 kinds of people, and I'll do a little video on this to shorten up. There's normal people, there's perverts, and there's Scrabble fucks, and I am a pervert proud pervert. Thank you very much. But I refuse to say that other people would need to cater to any of my sexual whims. I'm just going to draw porn and say, hey, if you guys got any good ideas, I'll draw them out and see where this can go, because shits and giggles trumps all.
But like, I don't prefer polyamory. I've been polyamorous and I don't prefer it. I prefer monogamy. But like, until
that
we
would
actually
put you
met
as
and, like,
normal.
ironed stuff out, I really didn't feel comfortable like telling her who she could flirt with. But like, the way she came at me over JJ, I was like, I have been watching you flirt with everybody, and now you're saying
double
she said
standards.
I flirt with everybody. And it actually is true. I do flirt with the Archduchess because the Archduchess says flirty things to everybody, so I like flirt back. And
God,
then I made all those
so
jokes about
you
Big
got just a
Lundy being
room
my-
full of shitty excuses for sexual partners, all becoming jealous of each other in high school drama. That's fucking brilliant. Oh, and this isn't one of those, like, at least if it was like the Waco, like, Seventh-day Adventist cult, and my goodness, it's been so long I can't even remember the name of the head of that one. But that's a lot of the Christian cults would have, like, just the cult leader is the only one who's allowed to, even the Raelians I think also had that. The cult leader was the only one who was allowed to have sex, that one guy at the top. You had other ones, like, the other guys just have to grow big bushy beards and maybe even castrate themselves or some shit for the religion. This is kind of the reverse. It's just the women just get to keep the male initiates in a continuous state of blue balls.
YouTube husband. Now, there's no other person that you can name on YouTube that I've ever like had an interaction with that would be considered like flirty. Even
Flirty.
Name one. And like, I named a bunch of women like right away. Like, it's like, do you mean these people? And like, that's why, like, she only named the Archduchess.
Start some naming more names. You don't. Oh my God! You just
everybody?
spilled your own beans and shit.
So like, this is what she accused me of. She accused me of like just constantly flirting with people, and it just
which is hilarious, because if she's polyamorous, there's nothing wrong with constant flirting. And in fact, Christ, waitresses are service industry people are essentially paid to flirt. In some places, this is more explicit than others. It's really what we'd consider in some flirtations are just ways of interacting and making people, trying to make people feel at ease and trying to feel welcome in various situations. It's to expressly to get these people to spend their money. And of course, feminism is all about clear double standards.
I don't do that. So
you could.
And once again, like, what I was doing with JJ, like, even with Harley, it was like more like teasing, and like, it wasn't like sexual, and it wasn't, she's doing overtly sexual things. Like, the only things I ever said to JJ in that hangout that were sexual is like, there was a joke because I was looking at her OkCupid and looking at her answers and like talking.
Oh God, I can only imagine what that would look like. Some of those cringe-worthy. I've got to do a thing where I've got to do some articles. I've got to dedicate some time to reading.
So it's weird to me.
Women's
it's
creepy,
horrible
OkCupid profiles.
For her trying to police my behavior when she does things
no
all the time.
idea. You have no idea how bad the cringe gets with women on OkCupid until you. I mean, there's like articles and even some blogs dedicated to guys of OkCupid, of guys who just being utter creeps on OkCupid. But then there's just some of the things I've seen from women twice as bad, if not 10 times, or at least things that the things that women are putting on there tend to also say a lot more about how badly society is going. When they start talking about their expectations or they talk about themselves. I I'll just put out the number one thing, the number one red flag of most women on OkCupid is the first thing people have noticed about me is, and then they'll say my sarcastic sense of humor, and that's basically a woman saying that she is a verbally abusive wretch who is going to continuously be cutting down the people around her. And then, of course, she circulates on her Facebook page. There'll be a bunch of like, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best kind of bullshit meme. Bullshit fucking digging through your cushions for excuses, weak excuses, memes, memetics that are the hallmark of the modern woman. I got some stuff I gotta do on that too. Just some images. Sass. A little bit of Gene Goodwin being sassy, maybe. And Gene Goodwin is okay because she's every guy's girlfriend if you want her to be. She was an add-on character who has no guarantee of actually surviving to the end of the series.
Time that I think are disrespectful to me, and like I bring up like being in the chat box, like I have her in Hangouts all the time, and when I used to have Hangouts, she doesn't speak in Hangouts. It like drives me insane, and it's like just an annoying thing. It's not.
She doesn't want to be on record.
That big a deal, but sometimes she will be in the chat box and talking while I'm having a serious conversation, and people will laugh, and I'm like, "What are you laughing at? You're not listening to what I'm saying." And it's like, "Oh, she's writing funny things."
Well, you're just a man.
I hate that. It's like somebody texting on the phone while you're talking to them. Like, I hate that. I don't understand why that's abusive, too. Like, me saying I hate it. Because I don't call her stupid. I don't, like... I'm just bringing up things that she does that drive me insane. And I think that her criticizing me for doing the same thing even more...
Oh, man. You know who is driven insane by women? Elliot Rodger.
Wildly than she does. Like, she's saying I'm disrespectful to her by flirting with somebody. It's like... You're disrespectful to me constantly. That's my point. It's like,
yeah, but she's the feminist. She's the woman. You're just the ally.
While constantly disrespecting me.
Suck it up, shitlord.
That's my point I'm making. How is that abusive? Once again, I use sarcasm. Sarcasm is not good. You shouldn't roll your eyes, and you shouldn't use sarcasm. But it's not abusive by itself. You just shouldn't do it because it's not good.
Oh, dude, thanks, dude. He's totally simpatico with me on the OkCupid shit. Then.
It's not a good way to argue with somebody who is your romantic partner, significant other, anything like that. I totally get that. If she had brought up, I really don't want you to use sarcasm because you didn't respond to this at all. Totally valid point. Well, but it's not abuse. Not in that context. If I was like sarcastically like putting her down, like in a way that was meant to like devalue her.
Oh, that's what I'm here for.
I'm just pointing out how this hypocrisy, her being polyamorous and then being upset that I'm flirting with somebody, and a big advocate for polyamory.
But remember, the feminists have so far lowered the bar for what abuse is that pointing out feminist hypocrisy is abuse. And if you're a man doing it, it is then therefore, because you're an opposite sex, different sex, it is therefore sexual abuse. You shitlord.
Me. I'm pointing out that hypocrisy. I'm making a genuine point. I'm not just trying to hurt her or trying to control her. Okay, this is the third and final one. This is the most harsh. I'm once again going to show you how it's not really abusive. I am really tired of your inability to own your emotions. If you had simply said that you thought I...
That is to say what men refer to as emotional mastery. Women, of course, refer to this as men having no feelings or lacking emotional intelligence, oddly enough. Here it gets called owning your emotions.
Was flirting with JJ and that bothered you, that would be one thing. It is still hypocritical, but your emotions are always valid. But what you actually did was go full radical feminist and basically imply that JJ cannot consent to flirting with me because she has been socialized to seek approval from older men or some such shit. First off, I don't think it is wrong for me to flirt with her, though I wasn't really doing as much of it.
Oh, the fucking double standards of projection and the spaghetti are all over the goddamn place.
I would not consider that wrong. What I would consider problematic is having a long-term thing with her because somebody my age
there's problematic
has so much
again.
more life experience and could easily manipulate somebody that age. That is the moral issue. You instead want to portray me as a creepy
Well,
old man
feminism manipulates people that age.
of a teenager because you are not mature enough to simply tell me you're jealous. You also missed my point about her flirting with Steve and flirting in general. My point was not, well, she does it first, so therefore is okay. My point was that she was aware and mature enough to know that she is doing and does not take it seriously. I see her as an autonomous human being who can make her own decisions, especially about something as trivial as flirting. Now, there's another.
But Anita Sarkeesian said that feminists can't, even women can't make choices unless the hive mind agrees on it. There is no such thing as choice for women in these situations. There was a speech in Sydney about that.
Paragraph after that, I'll leave it on the screen, but I'm not going to read it because it's not really relevant.
But it's long-winded and
now, this is what comes
idiotic
closest
anyways.
to me being abused because I say she's not mature. But what I'm responding to is her comparing me to a stalker and comparing me.
Which is funny because the stalker isn't the person you invite into the fucking chat room.
To, own her own emotions is abusive. Then what is her calling me like a stalker and
these Google Hangouts and stuff, you have to send somebody.
Like, I actually had a discussion with one. Like, if you really just think being abusive is bringing up a person's behavior and like,
yes, it is.
Behavior that isn't calling someone an abuser abusive. Like, I actually brought that up to somebody once. Like, that's why it's not like what's abusive is like it's about controlling. It's about taking that person down.
Yes, well,
like,
pointing out their bad behavior is
like,
controlling if you're trying to make them behave in a socially acceptable way.
Them and make them rely on you.
Because society
no
is
one else
shitlord. I don't know.
Want them.
Penis.
Like, those are abusive behaviors. This is not abusive behavior. This is not abusive language I'm using here. Now, I'm pissed at her. I'm actually using kind of like therapist language.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa!
Because what owning your emotions means is realizing that your emotions are about you. They're about the person you're interacting with, and they're about you. Like, let's say every interaction you have with your partner is 50%
you feel
about what
happy.
your partner's
You
doing,
feel
50%
cold,
about
sad.
your past.
You feel hot. You feel cold. They're just feelings. Feelings can never kill you. And until you master your feelings, I can do nothing with you, Remo Williams.
And how you feel. Or like your baggage and like, or you as a person, the things that bother you. And realize that your partner may be able to meet you halfway on these things. Because like you're not going to meet like someone who just comes ready-made.
Oh, God damn it. Yeah, exactly. And
so just realize that
feminism is about you meeting the woman at her place, not halfway.
Think, what about this
equality
bothers me?
Means that you've got to give up
and start to think about what
halfway.
The fact that this behavior
all the way.
bothers you says about you. In addition to acknowledging that your partner doing this says something about them as well.
God, please learn from your own lessons.
So that's what I wanted from her. I wanted her to just say, you being like this with JJ bothers me. And then we could have a discussion. But what she was doing was she was comparing me to a stalker. She was shaming me. And like that was just so painful and bad. It's like
she was treating you like an MRA.
Like in the middle of an argument with your girlfriend, she goes like, well, you're a rapist. Like, just in the middle of the argument. It's like, what? What the fuck? Like, what is that based on?
Like, it's based on her desire to shut down any and all arguments.
I was like, own
it's
your emotions.
The go-to
here.
maneuver for the majority of feminists.
When I'm saying, tell me how you
Which
feel.
is actually done more to discredit such claims.
I care about talking about how you feel and why you feel that way. That's what I care about. I don't care about this silly discussion about whether JJ can
any fucking discussion of
much older than her.
Oh, this guy's acting like a creep online.
And once again,
it's got to be from this point on. It has to be proceeded with. And I'm not some kind of feminist.
What I meant in that video, and everyone misunderstands that video.
Just to add the qualification, just to add the qualifiers that you're not
that I think
a jobless,
the majority of 16-year-olds are
bipolar,
sex, even with adults. That's what I mean when I say it's okay. But when I say 16-year-olds look like kids to me, I say even if it was legal, I would not have sex with a 16-year-old. That's what I'm saying. Now, JD's 18, and last I checked, 16 and 18 are not the same number. But, like, she was trying to, like, basically say, I'm basically being flirty with somebody I consider to be a child. And, like, trying to make me feel bad about that. And
well, if you're going to just talk about, age is just a number and comparative emotional maturity levels, you can have a talk with a 50-year-old feminist and you're still going to be dealing with a child.
Like, I'm embarrassed that I have to hypothetically talk about me having sex with this person because of this. Like this is not something that's ever going to happen in reality. It's not even something I think about. Seriously. So, that's the fucking thing. It's like, what?
Oddly enough, every
It's
time
like,
I've gotten laid, it's always been the time that I wasn't even thinking
like,
about it and wasn't
mean
concerned
anything.
about it.
And, like, I'm going to have this, like, complex discussion about, like,
So
interactions.
go
and when
JJ.
people can consent
Work your magic
to
on this
flirting,
dude.
When someone can consent to a flirting. Like, an 18-year-old can consent to sex.
Flirting is just, like I said before, it's something. This is just fucking social interaction. There is nothing that says flirting has to be specifically, even if it can be sexual in nature in a teasing form, in a very teasing way. It doesn't necessarily imply sexual interaction. Hell, women retain the right to flirt with a guy, lead them on, and then shut them down at any point. Right? That's one of, and yet there's another double standard, just revealed flat out, that the guy who is the guy, even if a girl initiates flirting as just play and just going to leave him high and dry anyways, and neither of them are taking it seriously, that if any outsider takes the man seriously, it must be a predatory act. There's so much fucking attempts to shame in this guy's story male sexuality through feminism, and yeah, we're going to see him on Honey Badger Radio anytime soon. I don't think so.
So I'm pretty sure they can consent to flirting. But, yeah, it's just totally fucking weird. And I was like, just tell me how you feel. Talk to me, have an honest discussion about how you feel is what I'm saying here. So that's abusive, saying I have an honest discussion about how you feel.
You're asking the cold-blooded reptiloid to analyze their own feelings?
Go fig.
Fuck no, that's...
I was actually really concerned about me getting through this video without crying, and I managed to do it. But as much as this has hurt me and extremely boring has hurt me, and once again she's like, well, I didn't make it public. But she made it public when she started telling other people about it.
He has run afoul of the Mean Girls club, and she's still, and according to her, she's saying she didn't make it public when all she did was gossip, like, stereotypical women. It's kind of funny that feminists cannot help but play into these active feminists cannot help but fucking play into stereotypically and negative female behavior. It's basically they just want to be able to be as shitty a human being as they can possibly be and have a blanket excuse and not have any judgment for how much they destroy other people, for how much they wreck society as a whole. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was all over Reddit by this point.
Because YouTube is like, it's an online community. So when you're telling other people in the online community, even if you tell them not to tell someone else, they might tell someone else. Okay? And like, you're calling me an abuser. And what really, really pissed me off, like, I was done. Like, Extremely Boring said when she read my Skype message, she was done. And, like, apparently that meant, like, done with all interactions with me. When I wrote that, I was done. Like, I really didn't think that we were going to, like, patch things up. I really thought, like, this is it. I'm done with the, like, idea that we're going to pursue any kind of romantic relationship together. But
You dodged a
I'm
bullet
still
there,
wanting to be
man.
friends
Well,
with
okay,
her.
not exactly
I was just
dodged,
like,
but you were only
this doesn't work.
grazed
We don't
by the
communicate
bullet.
well. We don't
This woman would
have the
just
same goals. We don't want the same things. Like,
this woman would have
it's
destroyed
it's
him.
too hard for me. I feel like I'm doing all the work and like I'm not getting anything.
You feel like you are a
but still,
typical
like,
man.
Like I love her.
A typical man in a relationship. Oh my fucking lord. I try to get through this without laughing, but damn.
Broke my heart here. Like totally broke my heart. Because like she's always talking about giving people the benefit of the doubt and not writing people off until you talk to the person. And here she is.
Lament
like,
to the white
I
knight.
talked to her about this. Like that Extremely Boring was mad at me about the JJ thing. And I just wanted, like, she didn't seem that interested in, like, counseling me. And I guess she just only
I'm going to have to check out this JJ person, at least. Maybe there's something.
Like, I was talking to her because, like, she was the person I trusted.
I can interrupt and talk
like, how
over
am I supposed
here.
to talk to Extremely Boring like this? This is before I wrote this. And I'm just like this, like, I felt crazy. Like, Extremely Boring wrote me an email about this, and it was just like, well, you were making me feel like I was crazy, so I went and talked to the Archduchess so I know I was crazy. I felt like I was going crazy. Like, I felt like I was going crazy, too. I was like, why doesn't she understand what I'm saying? And she thinks because she doesn't like how I interact with her, and because she finds the way I communicate confusing, that equals abuse, and that's not true. And, like,
take
you
that
have every
logic
right
yours
to say,
somewhere else.
If I don't
buddy.
communicate with this person, I don't like how they communicate with me, I don't want to be romantically with this person. Yeah, that's valid. It's always valid. It doesn't make it abuse because you don't like how they interact with you. What makes it abuse is, once again, if they're like putting you down and they're trying to control you. That's what makes it abuse. And I don't think you can make the case that I did that to her. Now, I was really angry. Like, I was so angry. I even waited a whole day before writing this because I was afraid of how angry I would be when I wrote it. And I was still angry when I wrote it. I was surprised that I was angry when I wrote it. But I tried to, like, not be so angry. But I wanted to be forceful about how she was making me feel.
Force?
Because it was hurting me.
Male aggression? Shitlord!
Now, the Archduchess, I feel, like, totally just stabbed me in the back.
Hegemonic toxic masculinity?
During this hangout, the same hangout, I opened up to her about a lot of things. Because it wasn't broadcast.
Which is apparently the number one lesson that needs to be drawn from this. Is to not, when he for she tells you, then when Emma Watson says, share your emotions with women, you have to, men can be free to be more open. Obviously, from this guy's example, you cannot be emotionally and personally and vulnerable to women, because especially not feminist women, because feminist women are only out to destroy men. Like, specifically men like this guy, not the guys that don't give a fuck.
These conversations I was having,
they're
with
powerless before
and
MGTOWs and
opened up with, I guess,
PUAs.
the whole group about a lot of
They
things
can't
that, like, I
stop.
really
They
hadn't told
can't
anybody.
climb off of PUA dick.
Like, I really felt close to her. And, like, she calls No Plum Two-Faced. This is the most two-faced thing I've ever seen anyone do on YouTube. And, like, No Plum seems like a prince of a human being compared to this behavior. Which I agree with some of her criticism, but she, like, would go on Twitter and, like, just basically troll him on Twitter to, like, piss him off. It's like, why the fuck do you want to do that?
She's out for an emotional high.
Like,
She will seek
why do you
out.
want to troll him
And the
on
funny
Twitter?
thing is, part of this this woman's behavior, if he's to be trusted, part of this woman's behavior is going to also be seeking out guys that she will eventually escalate this into seeking out guys that are violent. She will seek genuine abusers. She's right now in the minor league. She's right now just looking for amateur, for throwdowns so she can ride that emotional high. But this kind of mentality that he is, if he's to be believed, this kind of mentality she is, because this guy can say anything he wants on his YouTube channel. We're gonna listen and believe to him for a change, but it's already set into her nature to ride out to seek emotional extremes so she can ride on these endorphin rushes and whatnot. That adrenaline high of a relationship she will not be satisfied with white knights, with Captain Save-A-Hose. She wants Captain Beat-A-Hoe. She will eventually find him, or she will turn some other guy into him just so she can have these emotional extremes. Because that shit is that's addictive as any other drug.
So I tried to play peacekeeper between them one time and it didn't work. But like, how can you call like someone like No Plum two-faced and like you would stab someone in the back like that? That's basically what she did. Because like, she didn't talk to me about it, and I wanted to talk to her about it because I didn't know who else to talk to. So I wanted somebody to tell me like, what is extremely boring want? Because she won't tell me. So it was just...
I really hope her stuff was all mirrored
no
somewhere.
Comments on this video.
So people can continue hound her footprint.
I don't care if you like me. I don't care if you think I'm a misogynist. I don't care if you are
misogynist nerd. Thank you, shitlord.
It verifies your views of feminists. I don't care. I'm going to have different channels than this, and when you watch those, I want you not to watch them because you like me. I want you to watch them because you like my content. Because I'm sick of this cult of personality that we call YouTube. I'm sick of feminists. I'm sick of MRAs. I'm sick.
He's not sick of course, of the cult of personality we call feminism. That's the problem. That's the problem of a man setting. And honestly, yes, he doesn't care if he sets up. It's kind of funny that he's going to disregard his own lessons. It seems that's the bizarre, funny part of that. You know, a guy who's apparently been through psychotherapy. And probably has had to go running back to the therapist for the self-evident.
A fucking atheist. I'm sick of all of them. And the thing was, I was trying to distance myself from like people, and I really felt bad about it because of like become part of this community, distance myself from people a little bit. And because like I just want to be a content creator, I don't want to be part of this community really. But
I mean, this is a guy that was tangling with
individual people.
A lot of the MRA, various really anti-feminists in his videos for a while.
Love the most have betrayed me.
To try and say that, you know, or what these different guys believed, or when they bring up scientific, you know, studies and whatnot, or this was somehow not God unsafe on YouTube. Oh gosh. And then his stream has a lot of liked videos, including ones by JJ Talks, Laughing Witch, Zachary Amaranth. I'm gonna have to dive into Xenostrads too, and just absorb these things, guys. But for now, it's 5 a.m. I'm gonna call an end to this tonight. I mean, I think we really got a lot of stuff done. Thanks for sticking around. I'm Barwin Scorpio, of course. I'm Ben Rodriguez, aka Barwin Scorpio. Online, you can find me at BAR, the number 1. On Fur Affinity, BAR, the number 1, Scorpio, SCORPIO, on DeviantArt, Fur Affinity, Hentai Foundry, and Twitter, and LiveJournal, as well as Patreon. On a regular stream, I'll get around to thanking my Patreon supporters and such. Something. Thanks, guys, and good night.